You win some, you lose some. That seems to be the storyline for the Montreal Canadiens this season. We'll talk about their inconsistent play and what's been going on with their special teams. This is Hockey Inside Out. Hello and welcome to another episode of Hockey Inside Out. I am your host, Jessica Rusnak. Joining me on this week's show, we've got Stu Cowan from the Montreal Gazette, Rick Green, former NHLer, Stanley Cup champ, and former assistant coach with the Montreal Canadiens, and Andrew Berkshire, program director at Game Over on SDPN Sports. So the Montreal Canadiens were able to snap their 4-game winless streak and picked up back-to-back wins against the Detroit Red Wings and the Boston Bruins. But then they lost their 2 following games after that. It always seems to be up and down with the Canadiens. Is this inconsistent play by the Habs what we should expect all season long? Stu, we'll get your thoughts first.
Well, it's part of rebuilding team. It's going to be some inconsistent play, especially with so many young players. Missing Kirby Dach is huge also. Missing David Savard is huge also. The biggest concern is just the inconsistency on offense and how the guys who are supposed to be scoring goals aren't scoring goals. I mean, Josh Anderson, you wonder if he's ever going to score again. Raphael Harvey-Pinard, no goals. Cole Caufield, 1 goal in the last 9 games and only 1 goal all season at 5-on-5. So to me, that's the biggest concern moving forward, just the inconsistency on offense. Offense has been a problem with this team for a long, long time, and it's dried up right now. Lots of chances. Can't finish, and especially with Josh Anderson, I mean, he's got to start burning his sticks or doing something. But inconsistent, I think we're going to see this as the season goes on. And if there's more injuries, it's going to be even worse. As I said, the Kirby Dach injury was a huge blow to this team. Marty St. Louis talked before the season about all the different options he had with his forward lines. Those options are limited now with Kirby Dach out of the lineup, and that's part of the reason that they're struggling to score.
Yeah, I think it's typical growing pains, and what we see is what we get as far as, what their record is to date. You got a lot of guys trying to figure out what they need to do each and every night to have success at the NHL level. So this kind of process, if you will, is not unusual, but you got to give them full credit. I mean, they go at the Boston Bruins, and they make life pretty tough for them and found a way to beat them. So they are capable of playing at the higher level, if you will. Now they just have to understand, how to find a way to do that each and every night. But they're fun to watch. They're entertaining. They don't give up. Same stuff that we talked about. That the expectations were there that we like to see, and I give them credit for where they are so far, and this is just normal stuff that we're seeing from a young hockey club.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the laundry list of guys that Stu mentioned that aren't scoring, and it's surprising that this was the first game where they've been held to under 2 goals. They've been surprisingly consistently in games, even in games that they're losing. They find ways to chip in a couple goals here and there or score a couple goals late. They're playing pretty well. I think a lot of the offense is going to eventually figure itself out. Josh Anderson can't continue to be this unlucky. I was joking around with a friend last night that, they say if you try to answer everything wrong on a true or false quiz, you'll still get around 50%. Right now, Josh Anderson would get 0. Somehow he would find a way. I don't know what's going on there, but the gripping the stick too tight, whatever, he's got to figure something out. He's a better player than what his stat line shows. He's put up a huge amount of scoring chances so far this season. And the same goes for Cole Caufield, especially for Cole Caufield at even strength. The numbers are there, the underlying numbers. The chances are there. It just hasn't been going in for him. And I think if Caufield didn't have a history of being an extremely good even strength goal scorer, last year he was 3rd in the NHL in goals per 60 at 5-on-5. Maybe we'd be a bit worried. If he wasn't getting chances, it'd be a bit worrying, but he's getting the chances. We've seen Juraj Slafkovsky take off the last couple of games. His game against Vancouver was probably the best of his entire career. Didn't get any points to show for it, but he was there. He was close. I'm really impressed with overall how this team is playing, and I think those games like against Vancouver, against Calgary, which are really close games if you disregard the empty net goals in Vancouver, that you lose, it's probably best long term. So this team can see they're close but not quite there. And then if I was Marty St. Louis, that Bruins game, I would have that one permanently taped so that anytime when this team is ready to compete, he can show that game in the dressing room and say, like, listen, guys, you could do this years ago. Look at the level of execution that you were able to put up against a great team. You can do this. You can beat anyone. Because that game was probably the best game the Montreal Canadiens have played overall since the Vegas series in 2021.
Well, I was talking with Brendan Gallagher after that Boston game. That's exactly what he said. He said, when we can play our game, we can play with anybody. The problem is they're inconsistent with it. They don't play that game every game, and it comes and goes in stretches, which leads to the inconsistency that we're seeing. But he's right. I mean, when they're on top of their game, when they're all going and they got 4 lines rolling and they're playing that style and they're getting the goaltending, they've been getting good goaltending all season from all 3 guys. They're a hard team to beat. I mean, Josh Anderson, it's Vancouver. I mean, he's one of the best players. He's all over the ice. You notice him every time he's on the ice. He's getting 3 or 4 good scoring chances every game just because he's skating hard, he's working hard, he's going hard to the net. And that one save there against the other night, when the glove save against Calgary, when he was set up right in front of the net, and like, he must be, you're right, he must just be going, oh my God, I'm never going to score another goal again. But you figure it has to come at some point. And as Marty St. Louis said the other night, once he gets one, you think they'll start to come in bunches. But I mean, he's got to be having sleepless nights right now. I can't remember seeing a guy get that many chances who is a goal scorer and not be able to put the puck in the net.
Yeah, that's what I want to talk a little bit more about Josh Anderson, because you got a feel for this guy. He said this is the longest he's gone in his professional career without a goal. He even mentioned, maybe he's got to change sticks or something to get Lady Luck on his side. He is trying everything. That glove save that Markstrom made on him, everyone was shaking their head being like, nothing is going his way. So what do you do in a situation like that? I know Martin St. Louis spoke about it after that game against Calgary, that you just kind of have to go through the motions of it. But Rick, is there anything else you can do, and how frustrating must this be for a player?
Well, let's face it, he's really, really feeling it. And, it's not like he's not getting chances. I mean, if you look, and real good chances, and just can't find a way to put it in the place that he needs to put it. And to put your finger on it, it's tough. But I think the bottom line is, he's got to keep working on getting opportunity, which obviously he is, and he will continue. And once that first one goes in, I would hope that, he's going to get a little bit of a run and get the pressure off his back to contribute offensively, because he is trying, he's doing everything he can, but it just isn't happening. So he's feeling it, but, as quickly as it's struggled, it can turn the other way, and he can have some success on the goal. Yeah,
Rick's right here. Josh Anderson just needs to keep doing what he's doing right now. The last stretch of games here, he's now played, I'd say 5 games in a row where he's been really strong offensively. Eventually a puck will bounce off of his butt and go in, and then he'll feel a little bit better just by virtue of where he's putting himself on the ice. It's going to happen. And then he'll start scoring a little bit more. It's all about confidence right now, and he's putting in the work to get that confidence back. So I'm not worried about him.
I know someone on Twitter during the Vancouver game tweeted, that maybe he needs to light some candles at the Basilica or walk up the stairs on his knees. I don't know if he's religious or not. Maybe light some candles under the statues outside the Bell Center of Bellevaux and Lafleur and those guys. Maybe change the color of tape on his stick. I mean, I know Slavkovsky went back to that crazy tape job that he first had, and then he scored a goal. So at this point, I mean, I'd be trying anything. It really is. I mean, Marty St. Louis said the other day, you need to have humor and sort of laugh at it. And I understand where Marty's coming from that. But I mean, I'm sure Josh Anderson isn't laughing right now. He must be almost crying, because it's painful to watch. It really is. I mean, it's like, you figure one has to go in at some point. I mean, you go back to Slavkovsky's first goal. It was he had a good try. He sort of flubbed it a little bit, and it caught the goalie by surprise. It was sort of a knuckleball. Like, something like that has to happen at some point for Josh Anderson to finally get a goal.
Yeah, for sure. And like, we've been talking about this pretty much since the show started this season about when Josh Anderson will score his first goal. We'll see if next week we'll be talking about him scoring his first goal, or this drought is continuing. Now, what was interesting is last week, I believe it was a viewer who asked us if they should break up Nick Suzuki and Cole Caufield. I believe we all agreed, no, keep them together. And then guess what? Martin St. Louis decided to break them up. What's your thoughts on this move? Do you think that he should continue having them play on separate lines, or should he start to reunite them? Andrew, let's get your thoughts.
I think it's kind of nice to be Marty St. Louis right now because I don't think there's a wrong choice here. I think both players played very well on the new lines that they were on. I think Anderson really struggles to keep up with Suzuki mentally. Newhook as well, but Newhook started to adjust a little bit more, especially on breakouts. But overall, I liked a lot of what happened when those two were split up. I thought Cole Caufield was really dynamic defensively and in transition with that new line. I didn't have Christian Dvorak and Cole Caufield getting to build chemistry together on my 2023-2024 Montreal Canadiens bingo card, but there it is. Slavkovsky has looked good on that line. It seems like they're developing more options just by virtue of playing around. And I don't know if you can necessarily put Suzuki and Anderson together in tough minutes. That's historically not worked every single season that they've tried to do it, but it's worth a shot to try these new things once in a while. And it seems like playing away from Suzuki opened up more of Cole Caufield's game, more puck carrying through the neutral zone, more creativity. So I'm not really against them being split up for a bit. As long as they keep playing well, the whole team seems to be on it, really. Like, that's fine with me. But eventually I think they'll be put back together.
They put them back together briefly at the end of the game against Calgary near the third period, and they had Newhook with them. The fact that Caufield, you say he was getting struggling, he's getting chances, he's not scoring, same as Anderson, and he did look good with Dvorak. But I think next game we're going to see Suzuki and Caufield back together just to try and get Caufield, I think he's more confident with Suzuki, see if we can get some goals going. And I'm wondering at some point, I know you don't want to take Monahan off of center, but I'm wondering at some point if they put Marty's been really reluctant to break up that veteran line with Monahan and Pearson and Gallagher. Pearson's now gone like 11 games without a goal. I'm wondering at some point if he breaks up that line, if he doesn't put Monahan with Suzuki and Caufield, maybe he puts Pearson with them. Might be a way to get him out of his scoring slump also and juggle things around a little bit. But he's been really reluctant to break up that veteran line so far. But I think if they continue to have problems getting goals, I think that's something we might see Marty break that line up and move someone else in to try them with Caufield and Suzuki.
And it is a little bit of an experiment to break those two guys up. I mean, the bottom line is they're two highly skilled guys that no matter who they play with, things are going to happen. But, looking at, the change that they did make in splitting them, trying to get Anderson going, I mean, Suzuki finding him over and over, trying to give him that, clear-cut opportunity to finish is a valid attempt to try and get his game, going on the right track. But, looking at the future, I think that they'll probably come back to Caufield and Suzuki because, the record speaks for itself. When they are together, there's a lot of things happening. The luxury they do have is they have some good depth and skill level now with all of their group that they can, move some pieces around and still be able to survive. And I think that, we'll probably go back to see what Suzuki and Caufield can do back together.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing Monahan with Slavkovsky and Anderson. I think that would be a big way to get both of those guys maybe going a little bit more offensively. And as I said, and then put Pearson up with Caufield and Suzuki. I think Pearson would be able to play well with those guys. A veteran guy who does everything well. He's good at getting the puck in deep, getting the puck in the offensive zone, and then letting Caufield and Suzuki do their thing from there. So it's going to be interesting to see coming up what Marty St. Louis does. I think we're going to see more line juggling because, as I said, I think he's got the point now where that veteran line, he might need to break it up just to try and get some other guys going.
I just want to get your thoughts on two guys that Stu just mentioned, Slavkovsky and Monahan. What's been your evaluation of their play so far?
Well, for me, Slavkovsky has really elevated his game. I mean, Martin St. Louis deserves a lot of credit because he continues to give this kid an opportunity to play in situations, no matter whether it's deserving or not. And then when I say that, he's a young kid that's still trying to figure out what he needs to do, but he's got the skill, he's got the smarts, and he's starting to develop in being able to contribute, each and every shift. And Slavkovsky is making good progress, and he's going to continue and he knows very well. You can feel it. He's got a little more confidence, and we're going to see some positive results moving forward.
Yeah, I agree with Rick entirely about Slafkovsky. He looks like a different player from a couple of weeks ago. The confidence is there. The attempts to make plays is there. The execution isn't perfect, but this is the road that he's on, right? He's getting to the right point slowly but surely. We all know that he was going to be a project from the day that they drafted him. The Canadiens labeled him as a long-term project. So it's okay to be patient. Monahan, I think St. Louis' quote about him the other day sums it all up, right? Talk about how much he plays the game the right way and the game respects him back, and how he's become a fan favorite because of the way that he plays. It's not even necessarily the production. He's a very pleasing player to watch because he does everything right. He cares so much. We watched him last week. He got really upset at himself for going offside. Just a little tiny thing, but his standard is so high. And I really love that. I think he's a big leader on this team. He's been great for every line mate that he's had.
Yeah, Rick always says never trust the forward. I think Sean Monahan's one forward you might have trusted, Rick, when you were playing. He does do everything right. You see the way he helps out in the defensive zone on faceoffs. He's so good, liked by his teammates. I think he's proving to himself that he can stay healthy now, because he's gone through. He was talking about how hockey hasn't been fun for him the last few years. He's been in pain all the time. He played with that broken foot last year. It's going to the rink was like a challenge, and it was a painful experience playing in the games. And now you can tell he's enjoying himself. He's healthy. He's having fun. He's playing really well. Knock on wood, hopefully he can stay healthy for this season. He's a really good hockey player. And with Slafkovsky, I wrote a column a couple of weeks ago saying he's not NHL ready. He doesn't look NHL ready. He really didn't look NHL ready. But the last couple of games, I've seen more progress from him than any time before since he's been up in the NHL. He was on the power play against Calgary. He had a one-timer. He's been waiting too long on the power play when he's getting chances. He's like setting it up and waiting to shoot. That was nice to see, the one-timer shot. The game he had 6 shots there. The game before was a good sign. He's shooting the puck more. He's still in his own end when the puck comes along the boards. It's a struggle. He still keeps his head down too much. He gets rocked. He gets hit hard a lot of times, and you're worried that he's going to get hurt at some time. But the confidence level seems to be rising, and over the last 3 games, I guess, is the biggest improvements I've seen since he's been here, and he looks more ready or able to play in the NHL right now, and hopefully for him that continues going forward.
All right, time to move on to rapid fire. And I think about a month ago, if I told you guys this, we would all be shocked. The Canadiens power play, it's actually doing pretty well. It's ranked 14th in the league with a 21.5% percentage. What has changed with this? What do you credit to being the success of the power play turning around? Rick, let's get your thoughts first.
Well, for me, the first thing that stands out is they're shooting the puck more. I mean, they're not afraid to shoot at any opportunity that they're given that clear lane to get the puck through. And it's working with traffic in front, a little less predictable. We all know that Caufield's over there on the side. A lot of teams are cheating on it. He's still getting his opportunity from that, that part of the ice. But I think overall there's a lot more movement. Puck is changing hands, changing directions, and the bottom line is they're getting pucks through now, and they're not afraid to use their shots when they're given the opportunity. And I think that they're getting goals as a result of it.
Yeah, I saw a thing on Twitter during the game the other night. They were actually in the top 10 in the power play before the Calgary game, and somebody on Twitter said, "How come we don't hear more about how terrible the Canadiens' power play was?" And I responded, well, maybe it's because they're in the top 10. And I think a lot of fans didn't realize that their power play had improved. But they're shooting more, you're right, Rick, and they're moving the puck much better. The puck's moving around. And I think it's a case of, when the power play was struggling and there were a lot of people complaining, like, why is Josh Anderson on the power play? Why don't they switch this? Why is the first unit out so long? I think we're seeing the benefit of that now. The guys have been together for so long and playing together. They're getting more comfortable. They know where guys are going. And it's right, and they become much less predictable going to Caufield all the time. Suzuki's shooting the puck a lot more. And you watch the other team's PKs, they're really taking Caufield away. Like, he keeps trying to hide over in the side there near the boards. But they have somebody sort of watching him. And Suzuki now, you'll see so many times he'll look him off and then he'll shoot. And Matheson does the same thing. You'll see Matheson sort of fake it and shoot it through. So I think it's a comfort level. A lot of people are knocking Josh Anderson, but he does a lot of good things on the power play as far as being that big body in front of the net, as far as winning puck battles to get the puck back. So I think it's just a case of patience has paid off in this, that they've left the same guys on the power play units. They're getting more comfortable. They're shooting the puck more, and they seem to know where each other are going, and there's more of a flow, and it's not all let's get the puck to Cole on the sidewall and let him shoot. So it's been as bad as it was to watch for so long. It's actually almost every time they're on the power play now, they're creating chances, and to think, who would have thought they would have been in the top 10 before playing the Flames.
Yeah, I think some of the bigger issues are still there. They still struggle on entries. I think the consistent reliance on the drop pass is still an issue. Slows everything down, allows the other team to set up their defense a little bit easier. But they are playing with more pace once they gain the zone. I think that's a big difference. And as opposed to last year where everyone knew the pass across to Caufield was coming, they still know and they're covering it. But now, instead of continuing to do that anyway, right into the middle of sticks and skates, they're trying other plays. They're trying Suzuki down to Monahan, who tries to wrap it in front of the net, or tip it in, or Matheson goes for shooting through some traffic. All these different looks create more opportunity for everyone. And eventually teams will drift off of Caufield a little bit more, and then that pass is going to open up a little bit more. So it's all about attacking in different ways. You see the best power plays have 3 or even 4 setups that they can go to, and they execute them equally well. And the Canadiens are starting to build that out. It's no longer just the one setup to try to finally get Cole Caufield that shot. In dire moments, they're still looking for that shot, obviously, because it's their best chance to score. But for the most part, they're trying other things, and that has been really nice to watch. And the results have been great so far. I do think they're scoring a little bit more than they have earned so far, and I would still take Josh Anderson off that top unit. His ability to win puck battles exists, but I don't think he's very involved overall, and he just hasn't been a shooting option either, and he can't pass the puck. So if you're on there just to win puck battles and you're just kind of staying in the middle of the ice, stuck in no man's land, I don't think you're contributing that much. But overall, it's still a significant improvement on what they were doing.
Yeah, and Monahan. Sorry, go ahead, Jess.
No, I was going to say, you'd think when you have a young team like this, it's these kind of growing pains that you really have to go through and see what works and see what doesn't and try and correct them. And so far, it's been working well for the Canadiens. Now they just have to kind of try and consistently do this to move up the power play standings.
Yeah, and Monahan's patience down low is huge also. You wonder at some point if they might, as Slafkovsky continues to progress, if they might put Slafkovsky in Anderson's spot with that big body in the middle in front of the net. And that drop pass thing is over and over, but it's like every team in the NHL does it. I'm trying to think back, but you never used to see that, right, Rick? I'm trying to think back, who was the first team that did that? And then it's like every team in the NHL does it now. And I wonder when the first team is going to come up with something different than that. And then every team's going to do that on the power play. It seems like it's just such a copycat thing around the NHL. But I mean, Rick, back in your day, I don't ever remember that happening.
No, they never use that at all. And what the basic that does is it just jams up the blue line. You've got a lot of guys lined up. If you're fortunate enough to have a good skilled guy that's able to come up and carry the puck and enter the zone under control, bonus. But there's a lot of legs and sticks that they got to get through with that approach. But, like you said, everybody uses it. It's a little bit difficult to defend when it comes to trying to make it difficult on the entry, but everybody seems to like it. And, the bottom line is getting the puck in, getting control, and then, moving the puck, which the Canadiens are moving it very well. And I know as an ex-penalty killer, the most difficult time was when you didn't know what type of power play attempt they're going to try and use against you. And the easiest was, they're going to use this play and I'm ready for it. So I think they have the opposition a little bit, concerned about what they're going to use on their power play, which is a bonus. And I think the results are showing proof of that.
Well, it's much better than the days when it was just, let's get the puck back to Shea Weber at the blue line and let him wind up and take a slap shot. That was how many games did we watch that?
No, also
they had one stretch where it was great. Remember when Galchenyuk was there with Weber, and it was like Weber and Galchenyuk on the back end on the 4-on-3 power plays in overtime? They were killers. for like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Now, the penalty kill has also been good. They are 19th in the league at 77.3%. What's your thoughts on that? How do you see them doing, and what maybe improvements would you like to see, Andrew?
I think they compete really hard on the penalty kill. They still tend to get lost a little bit with teams that move the puck really well. I think that there's a big gap between Raphael Harvey-Pinard and Jake Evans out there and everyone else. I think they are just amazing penalty killers. The effort level, the creativity, and how they defend is really, really strong. I think a lot of the trouble that they have in the net front has been Mike Matheson. With the amount of minutes that he plays, I don't see the point in burning him out on the penalty kill, especially when he's not necessarily very good at it. He is good at like breaking up with stick checks, things like that, winning battles one-on-one, but it hasn't translated to penalty kill success. So I would let him just rest a little bit. He doesn't need to play 28 minutes a night, and challenge some of the other defenders to go out there and kill penalties, let them grow a little bit. That's the only change really that I would make. Other than that, I think it's more just over time that will get better, just like the power play will. It's not really a big concern for me.
Yeah, Dvorak's helped the PK since he's returned to the lineup too. I mean, a couple of games ago there, he had a huge shot block at the end of a 5-on-3 power play. I think it was against Boston, if I'm not mistaken. So he's helped, and he's won some big faceoffs also. And since David Savard was hurt, Jonathan Kovacevic has been really good on the PK. He blocks a lot of shots. He's a big body. He's good at winning battles for the puck when the puck is loose, and not panicking and just like firing it off the boards, trying to get it out. Like you'll see, he gets it. He takes a look to see where there's an opening, and then he fires it down the ice. So just another example of like what a waiver pickup he was. I mean, Jonathan Kovacevic's turned into a really, really good, steady third pairing type NHL defenseman, and he's added another tool to his toolkit. Just like on the PK, he's been really, really good, willing to block shots. They hurt. We see what happened with David Savard. Caden Gooley also took a slap shot off the ribs, blocking a shot. So, I mean, PK is all about, as Rick knows, is better than any of us. It's all about hard work and winning puck battles and getting it down the ice. And you say Jake Evans is a really, really good penalty killer. He's fun to watch do it. And as I said, the loss of David Savard in the PK was huge just because his big body blocked so many shots. But Kovacevic's done a good job coming in and taking those minutes.
Yeah, and like Stu says, I agree that there's a lot of guys that are paying the price to block shots. And you see it. They're committed. They're not letting that puck go by them without them getting a piece of it. So you got to give them full credit for that because it's working. And also, your goaltender usually is your number one penalty killer. And the goaltender seems to find a way to make the key save at the good time. And then you got to go back to the guys in the faceoff circle that are able to win those faceoffs to get that puck down that allows them, time off the penalty. So a lot of good things happening, starting to show a lot of a pride and a job well done. And they have some good chemistry with the guys that are really committed to say, I'm going to pay the price. I'm going to block the shot. I'm going to make the difference between a goal and no goal. So good for them because it's working.
I agree with that.
Kovacevic, Stu, I was just going to say, Kovacevic is a guy that you kind of forget is on the team, but that's a compliment because
it is a compliment. You don't notice him, which is a compliment, especially if you're a fifth or sixth defenseman. And the defenseman you do notice all the time is Matheson, as Andrew mentioned. And, people focus on his giveaways and whatnot. Well, part of the reason for that is because he has the puck on his stick so much and he plays so many minutes and he's willing to take risks with the puck. And the coaching staff allows him to take risks with the puck. I remember when PK Subban was here, that was one of the criticisms about him too, was the giveaways. But the more you have the puck on your stick and the more creative you try and be, the more giveaways. But I agree with you, Andrew. I think it would make sense to save Matheson those hard penalty killing minutes, which are physically hard. I think it might help him when they're 5-on-5 and on the power play. As you said, he's not a great penalty killer. And I think when a guy is playing 27, 28 minutes every game, if you can knock a couple of minutes off with less PK time, I think that would help him in the long run.
Yeah, there's just so much pressure on him, right? He faces the top opponents every single night. Just give him a little bit of a break.
Yeah, and people, I'm not fans who complain, his giveaways. Well, would you rather go back to the days when the defensemen weren't allowed to carry the puck past the red line and just had to dump it in, and they had to back off the blue line? They weren't allowed to pinch, and we watched years and years and years of that hockey. I don't want to watch it anymore. And it's
Agreed.
not, they've given Matheson the freedom to be who he is. He's one of the best. He's an elite skater, one of the best skaters in the league. He rushes the puck. He's in incredible shape. He never gets tired. And they're letting him do that. So there's giveaway. It's a give and take, right? So he's going to create offense, but there's also going to be giveaways now and again. But again, I think his minutes could be better. I don't think the PK is a proper place to use him a lot.
Rick, what do you think about the high amount of turnovers we've seen from Matheson, and what do you think the coaching staff is seeing from that?
Well, again, I think it's tied into the minutes that he's playing, and there's greater chances that unfortunately the puck is not going to go to the areas that you would hope it would go to. And that being said, I mean, I love the way Matheson plays. I do see some lapses in his defensive positioning. For whatever reason, he seems to get kind of soft in some areas that he's not really, energized to work hard and to pay the price, so to speak. But, nothing is perfect there. He's a guy that he's a really good player that can make a lot of things happen. I think that putting too much pressure on him with a lot of ice time is causing him to have a little bit of fatigue and resulting in some poor decisions with the puck. But he brings a lot more positive than negative, and I'd surely like to have him on my team.
Now, Joel Armia, he was sent back down to the Laval Rocket. Do you think this was our last chance to see him as a member of the Montreal Canadiens? And Rick, was your car running, heated up to bring him back to Laval?
I forgot about him now that you mentioned that he's not around, but thank you for bringing that up. And perfect place for him. Hope he does well. I don't foresee him being the next call up.
No, I mean, Joel Armia is who he is, right? He went down to Laval. He had, 4 goals in 4 games, I think it was, and gets called up, scores his first game back. All right, you got the message, he's ready. And then he went back to being the Joel Armia who just disappears and you don't notice him. And as you said, Rick, you don't notice him. And I'm hoping, nothing personal against Joel Armia, but to me, playing him minutes is just wasting minutes for a team that's rebuilding. You're taking minutes away from Jolanen or another guy who's could be part of this team moving forward and has a future with this team. Joel Armia doesn't have a future with this team. He doesn't have a future with anything. Put him on waivers, nobody wanted him, right, with that contract. So to me, just let him play out the end of his contract in Laval, maybe buy him out in the offseason if that works better. He is who he is. It's one of the most frustrating hockey players to watch. I can't imagine what it's like coaching him, Rick. It would probably drive you crazy because everything's there, the size, the skill, the shot, the speed, but you see it for a game or two, and then he puts on his invisible man suit and you don't see him for a week or a month.
Yeah, Joel Armia is like somebody built their own PC and then they forgot to put a processor in. We got all this high-end stuff and it's just like nothing's happening. You put in something from like 1995 and it doesn't work. I don't know if there's any way to get Armia to play consistently. If there was, I think it would have been found by now. Yeah. Winnipeg has seen this frustration with him throughout their development path with him. The Canadiens have dealt with it. The verdict is in for Joel Armia. If he was gonna
first round because of all that package.
Exactly. If he was gonna find it, he would have found it this time. I think after being sent down to Laval, realizing that his job wasn't safe, he hasn't found it.
No, he really hasn't, and it's, as I said, a frustrating guy to watch. And I've said it before, like Joel Armia, man of few words, a big, nice, quiet, shy guy who plays hockey like a big, nice, quiet, shy guy. Don't hit anybody, just sort of skate around, and it doesn't work. Not in the NHL.
Well, Joel Armia, thank you for the memories, and we'll continue to watch you down in Laval. And thank you for watching this panel of Hockey Inside Out. If you have any questions for the panel, please leave it in the comment section below. Make sure you like and subscribe to the Hockey Inside Out YouTube channel, and subscribe to the Gazette's newsletters to get the Hockey Inside Out newsletter as well. Just go to montrealgazette.com/newsletter. And of course, for more Hockey Inside Out coverage, you can go to montrealgazette.com for all the Habs news.